Hello there. Before we get into these reactions, you might be wondering why people are upset. So let's look at the state of American healthcare first.
Guess how much we pay for health insurance in California as a family of 4. But let me show you what's included first. As a small business owner, I selected Blue Shield of California because they have the biggest network and almost every good hospital is included, and even some acupuncture and chiropractic clinics. We have something that is called a full PPO, which means I don't need an approval to see a specialist, and I pay around $10 out of pocket per visit. And as you remember, I paid a bit over $2,000 for delivering a baby for a natural delivery. By the way, dental coverage is not included. We pay $787 for an adult, $520 for a baby, so in total for a family of 4, we pay $2,614 a month.
Do you want to know how bad healthcare is in America? Here's how bad it is.
Yeah.
I get stitches, cut my finger the other day. Go into the hospital, get my stitches done. No big deal, whatever. I have to wait 2 weeks to get them taken out. In the meantime, I get billed for my visit.
Of course.
Before insurance, for 5 stitches, $3,800.
What?
After insurance, $1,800.
Oh, come on.
Or $1,900, excuse me. After insurance, $1,900 for 5
stitches?
For a terrible hospital visit. Anyway, fast forward, so I get my bill and it's time to take the stitches out, so I schedule an appointment at the urgent care that is associated with the hospital that I went to, same company. So I schedule suture removal appointment online, and then I go in for the appointment and they say, sorry, we're not going to take those out. Since you got them done at the hospital, you have to get them removed at the hospital.
Oh, come on.
I said, why didn't you tell me that when I scheduled the appointment online? They said, sorry, go to the hospital. So I go to the hospital. And then I wait around for a while in the ER, and then I get back and I ask the nurse, hey, this is what happened. They turned me away at urgent care, told me to come here, that you guys would do it for free. Is that true? And the nurse said, let me check on that. I'm going to check with billing really fast. So I go check on billing. And then they say, sorry, billing says that you'll have to pay to get these stitches removed. And I said, that really sucks because I paid $1,800 to have that done after insurance. And they said, that is absolutely ridiculous. I know.
It is.
And then I said, gonna be honest, I'm not gonna pay any more money to the hospital because I already paid too much anyway. So I'm just gonna go. And I said, I think I might just remove them myself. And they said, that makes sense because that was so much money. So we'll just take you off triage. It'll be like you're never here. Don't worry about it. And then they were like, you know what? Let me just don't tell anybody we gave you this. And they gave me a little kit to remove my stitches myself. So that's a little story about healthcare in America. $1,800 will get you 5 stitches, and then nurses have to go behind the backs of the hospital to get you treated. So that's pretty stupid.
We pay $1,000 a month for a healthcare policy that has a $10,000 deductible. My empathy only extends so far. We've been trying to tell you that for-profit healthcare kills. Y'all just haven't been paying attention because it only kills poor people. Until now. Nobody deserves to get on their way to work. Nobody deserves to get their healthcare claims denied either. Be mindful of how this story is covered. Be mindful of how people are expecting us to have empathy for a man that's worth $40 million, is the head of a company that made $6 billion in profit. And the reason they made $6 billion in profit is because they deny 30% of the healthcare claims. They want us to have more empathy for this man than they want us to have for the people that are killed because of his company and because of how his company operates. And you know what? We're privileged. We're lucky. We're healthy. I couldn't even imagine having a family, having kids, having a chronic health condition. For-profit healthcare kills. We've been trying to tell y'all. The way insurance companies treat patients and the way insurance companies treat doctors is criminal. They are liable for way more deaths than a single gunman. Never, ever, ever forget that.
So, pro tip. If you think it's a good idea to draw fan art of a unidentified assassin that is currently on the run for shooting a CEO, maybe consider this a bad idea. You're just asking to be on a FBI watch list. Seriously, what people will do for engagement.
What? The CEO of UnitedHealthcare was gunned down in Manhattan in the streets? Yeah, I don't think that's something that happens just in the moment, like spontaneously. I call that a pre-existing condition.
It's happening. The people are revolting. Historians warned us that eventually, if the wealth gap became too wide, the people would have no choice but to quite literally revolt violently. Now, I am not saying that this is the answer, and my heart goes out to his family sincerely from the bottom of my heart, but I don't think that this is going to be the first or the last. The elites have been warned. If you keep taking and taking and taking, history has shown us time and time again that the peasants are going to eventually violently revolt. So I don't think this is, an ex-lover, a disgruntled employee. I think this is some Robin Hood. Someone either lost a family member due to a claim denial, because UnitedHealthcare is quite known for that. I don't know, but I think this is the start of the next American Revolution. People are dying. People have no money. People are desperate. We know what happens in desperate times. Once again, not condoning this, but historians warned us that this was going to start happening if we don't care for everyone and give people a life of dignity and the things that they need.
I'm going to find it very hard to believe that the CEO of UnitedHealthcare, that what happened to him was just a random act of violence from someone upset at some type of insurance. I'm going to find that real hard to believe. Before that storyline even start, I'm going to find that real hard to believe. There is no way that an individual, without this being an inside type of situation, can know that somebody has a meeting at 6:45 in the morning, where the meeting is and what door this individual is coming out of. Those are too many. See, y'all playing with a major investigation. I investigate everything to the T, what time was it? 6:48? What? How many seconds before it got to 6:49? I'm that person. I'm sorry, the time was 6:46 a.m. He was arriving early for a conference, and they're saying that the shooter left out on a bicycle. This shooter was bold. You left out on a bike. Are y'all catching what I'm putting down? This took place in Midtown Manhattan at a Hilton hotel. Now, there's so much more. They're still looking for this suspect. For me, this is deeper, and that's why I tell y'all, when we talk about people in the upper echelons, the biggie wiggies, the elect, there are evils of this world that is just completely unknown to us. Because I'm starting to think about Chandra Rhimes. Catch it? Starting to don't sit right in my spirit. At a time like this, the inauguration coming up, there are things, governmental programs that are in place. I believe that Obamacare was up under, it's a private funding for underprivileged people, in which this company, UnitedHealthcare, had a government contract with. Not only that, there are things happening with government programs as it relates to the food share program. Have y'all been following that story?
You know why I don't care that the CEO of UnitedHealthcare was also a husband and father? My mom died from complications due to diabetes. Diabetes requires a lot of supply, not just things like pumps, insulin, needles, test strips. It's things like batteries, alcohol wipes, Band-Aids, tape, gauze. 6 months before my mom died, her health insurance let her know that all of the things that she had been prescribed and insured for the last 10, 15 years of her life were no longer going to be covered. The insulin her life depended on, the pumps her life depended on, and the batteries that go in those pumps. The morning after my mom died, and I'm talking not even 24 hours after, 7 a.m. the morning after my mom died, a box full of all of my mom's supplies for the next 4-6 months showed up on my front step. And inside the box, with all of her supplies, there was a letter that said, "Due to the change in your current situation, we have now fully insured and covered your supplies." The current change in situation was listed as death. patient expiration. So yeah, it makes sense that all of the health insurance companies in the United States have now taken their CEOs off their websites, because it's not a matter of if this happens next, it's when.
Suspect in the killing of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Late tonight, police releasing 2 new photos of the suspect, who is the target of a nationwide hunt. Earlier, ABC News reported that New York City police detectives traveled to Atlanta today. The bus the suspect took to New York originated there. And we've learned tonight that Monopoly money and a jacket were found in a backpack believed to belong to the suspect. It was found in New York's Central Park. Police searched a nearby pond for possible evidence, and they're using facial recognition technology on images of the suspect.
As his picture moves more and more into various states, in particular between Atlanta and New York City, you're going to get more and more people calling in.
New York City wants us to catch John Wick for $10,000. John Wick, bro's a professional. He woke up on time. He was laying in wait. He's a planner. He had Starbucks before this like it was a regular day, and then rode off on a city bike. He wasn't even worried, no getaway car or nothing. He said, I'ma just scroll on up out of here. Job's done for the day. He's a professional. He had plans and he executed them personally. If y'all think I want John Wick looking for me for $10,000, and I thought I seen something, but my vision ain't that good. My coverage ain't that good. So what I thought I saw, I probably didn't see, and what I see, I probably couldn't see. That's all I know.
There are 2 people that I will never snitch on, that you couldn't pay me to testify against in a court of law. Number 1, my best friend. First of all, because she can do no wrong. And even if she did, it was justified and they deserved it. The second person, that man on a city bike. He was doing the Lord's work.
NYPD could offer me $5 million, the freedom of NBA YoungBoy, and a chance to meet LeBron, and I promise you I'm still not helping them find the guy who killed the UnitedHealthcare CEO. Let me get this straight. This man killed a multi-millionaire in New York City in broad daylight, used a silencer, had words on the bullets that he used to kill the man, and you want my civilian ass to help y'all go find him? What do you think he's gonna do to my bro ass when he finds out I helped y'all? Like, that is not a kid who just robbed Granny on the corner. No, that is the fucking Equalizer. That is Tommy Egan in the flesh. And you want me to go help y'all find him for 10 bands? Yo, y'all gonna have to give me better security than Joe Biden has ever had, okay? I need that security that Kendrick Lamar is gonna have when he goes to Toronto for this tour, okay? Because I am never going to feel safe if I give them any type of information to go find that person.
I just think that now that we have an unmasked photo of the gunman, we should all be looking for him together. I'm just kidding. They should definitely try conservative care before reaching out for outside help.
I once sat in a meeting and heard a CEO that made $77.6 thousand a day tell all of the employees that the only thing that should be concerning them is whether or not their choices every day affected shareholder value positively. These people do not give a crap about you. They are literally only concerned with making money. You're not humans to them. You have zero value to them other than what you bring to the company. Work less hard. Do not be concerned with them. If you died, the best you could hope for is they send a $25 thing of flowers to your funeral. They would replace you the next day and never, ever lose any sleep over your lack of existence. Eat the rich.
Did I see anything? My health insurance provider doesn't cover vision. I got denied. I'm sorry, didn't see shit.
For your CEO to be unalived an hour before the work meeting, for the meeting to still go on, business per usual. You cannot expect employees to care at that point. You cannot expect the healthcare workers to care at that point. You cannot expect any person working in your establishment to want to give themselves to your company. You literally said the most important person in this establishment is discretionable
And guess what? We don't care if you die. The show will go on. And that is the mentality that corporate America has now gotten itself to. You cannot expect workers to fully give in. And hopefully people start using this as backlash for the whole in-office thing. That meeting could have been on Zoom. It could have been an email. And instead, lives were risked and lives were taken that day.
It has been less than 48 hours since the CEO of UnitedHealth has been unalive, and they already posted his job on Indeed. So what makes you think your job is secure? Don't trust none of these companies.
I think the takeaway from the unaliving of the UnitedHealthcare guy is that we should all probably live our lives in a way that doesn't make people root for the assassin.
You know you're a bad person when someone unalives you in the back and everyone, literally everyone across the internet is cheering on your killer. You can only screw people over for so long until something breaks and they start to fight back. With people struggling to pay bills and crime skyrocketing, we're only on the beginning of this revolution. The reason the media won't stop talking about this is because deny, defend, depose is a terrifying concept to all the elites in charge. If we, the people who outnumber them 100,000 to 1, started fighting back, they would be screwed. Historically, it only takes 3.5% of the population to topple any government that's in power. And with the way things are trending, we might just get there sooner than you think.
In the wake of the UnitedHealthcare CEO being assassinated, I thought I would share my experience with some of the that UnitedHealthcare has put me through. So last year I had cancer and I had to have 3 different surgeries to have the cancer cut out of me. In addition to the monthly premiums, the deductibles, the random out-of-pocket costs, they did not want to help pay for my surgeries. Eventually they did, but they paid a very, very small amount in comparison to what I have paid out. So then after I had my surgeries, they did not want to pay for my anesthesia. I don't know if you know this, but in hospitals and in outpatient centers, the anesthesia is typically a different company that is contracted to come in and do the anesthesia. Well, UnitedHealthcare didn't want to pay for it because it was a different company. And I'm like, that is not my problem. The way the hospital operates and the way that they hire people to do the services that they need is not on me. It's on you to deal with that and to pay for that. And if you think that I didn't need anesthesia to have surgery, you're insane. So then, after I had to fight with them over that, they didn't want to pay for the pathology after my surgeries. Now, after you have cancer cut out of you, you have pathology sent to the lab where they inspect, dissect, test the whatever they cut out of you. And they need to find out what kind of cancer it is, how invasive it is, if they need to cut more, if you had clear margins, if, whatever. They need it. The pathology is super important. And United denied it. Said, no, we're not paying for that. What do you mean? What do you mean you're not paying for the pathology? That's like 50% of the importance of this surgery. What do you mean you're not gonna fucking pay for it? Additionally, my daughter had strep throat a couple weeks ago. She got a super basic prescription of amoxicillin. The pharmacy calls me and says they denied it. Why did they deny amoxicillin? And I called the doctor and I was like, hey, how did you write up this amoxicillin? How'd you write up this prescription? Because the insurance denied it. And she was like, I just wrote up super basic amoxicillin for strep throat. Like, pretty much the only way you can do it and the most standard way to do it. There's no reason for them to deny it. So I called United. I was like, and they were like, oh yeah, sorry. We don't feel like she needs it. I'm sorry, what? So then I call the pharmacy and I'm like, I don't know what to do. And they're like, well, there's nothing we can do, but we found you a coupon. Cool, thanks.
Now about the UnitedHealthcare CEO. The media keeps emphasizing that he was a husband and the father of 2 children. I won't deny that 2 innocent children are now traumatized without their father. But I just need y'all to take note for a second that CEOs are usually not raising their kids. Because to be a CEO of that kind of company, you had to have stepped on people to make it to the top, including sacrificing your own role as father. It's just not as fashionable to make absentee father jokes about people who make that much money. Because let me tell you, as a bedside nurse, now nurse practitioner, I have worked with doctors who have a side hustle of working for insurance companies, and their job is to put a medical stamp of approval to deny your claim. Their job is to find a medical justification for it, and they can afford a nanny for each child. Again, they are not the ones raising their kids. And as we've seen, United has a track record of denying over 30% of claims. Did that CEO ever empathize with other fathers when those claims would be denied and other children would lose their father because of a denied procedure or surgery? Was he thinking about other people's children during his role as CEO? If you want people to sympathize with your role as a father, then perhaps you should have done the same before you denied health care for how many fathers?
The police trying to paint the killer of the healthcare CEO as like a common threat to the masses in an attempt to get people to turn him in is a hilarious strategy. Like, this was not a random attack. Everything was obviously planned, down to him engraving messages into the bullet casings. Unless you have 7 homes and like 2 yachts and a couple of mistresses, I feel like you're pretty safe from him. I don't think he's coming after me and my $20,000 of debt.
We can't pew-pew every CEO, they're just gonna find more. So your United Health Insurance claim got denied. Here is what you do. They call you, they tell you your claim has been denied. You say, thank you so much. I'm going to file a fair hearing trial. As soon as you say those magic 3 words, the insurance company is gonna offer you an appeal, to which you are gonna say, no thank you, joker. I don't go back to my dirty exes either, because if your judgment was good enough the first time, we wouldn't be in this position. I don't need to give you a second chance. And then you're gonna go online, you're gonna Google fair hearing trial in your state. And then what's going to happen is the insurance company is going to have to bring their case to the state to prove why you don't need the service. And your doctor is going to give the evidence to support why you do need the service. Then the state is going to make a fair and unbiased decision, because their job is not to care about a national health insurance company. It's to care about their constituents. And sometimes just the act of saying, I'm going to file a fair hearing trial and I will not settle for an appeal, is enough to motivate the insurance company. Let's not all become fugitives. Just Google fair hearing trial and your state.
It's worth mentioning that when the CEO of UnitedHealthcare, the insurance part of UnitedHealth Group, was rushed to a hospital, it was Mount Sinai, who was removed from UnitedHealthcare's network. If he was a civilian, he would have been hit with a massive bill.
The CEOs are not taking down their LinkedIns and hiding all of their personal information because of the shooting. Anthem did not reverse that anesthesia policy because of the shooting. And the sudden surge of healthcare approvals is not because of the shooting. All of these things are happening because of the public reaction to the shooting. We are forcing social accountability on people who have never faced it before. If everyone was heartbroken and concerned, none of these things would be happening. The public reaction created real tangible change in a matter of days. When we all use our platforms to send the same message, it actually gets through. We also showed each other how we treat someone who we perceive to be an American hero. The combination of all of these circumstances makes me think that we're going to see some really big changes soon. They're scared of us and the power we have with these platforms. And hey, if you're watching this, thank you for being part of the public reaction that's actually making a difference. Please keep talking.
Defend, deny, depose. You see this guy right here? That was my dad. He was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer 2 years ago. And we went to the best hospital in our state. We found the best doctors. We were basically promised that he was going to be a walking miracle. It was this is going to be easy. I know pancreatic cancer sounds scary. Stay off the internet. We've got this. So, as any extremely close family, you hold on to whatever the doctors are going to tell you. He had so many scans. He did chemo, radiation. He did not lose 1 pound, okay? This man looked exactly like that going into his Whipple surgery. We understand that complications happen during the Whipple surgery. Scans aren't always 100%, but an hour into his Whipple surgery, we found out that a major artery was wrapped around the tumor. The tumor appeared dead, and we were told over and over and over that this was not a death sentence, and that they did a rewiring of his insides to make sure they were away from the tumor should the cancer come back or become alive again, that it would have room to grow and it wouldn't cause him pain, and we had plenty of options. So that was Halloween. Let me take you through the month of November. The month of November, he was constantly in the hospital. We actually got him home on November 4th, which was my son's birthday. He was violently vomiting. We thought, it's an hour to get to the hospital to get home. Maybe that was something to do with it. No, the next day he was readmitted. They never did scans. But what they did do was they did an x-ray and told us it was residual fluid. This is where our nightmare starts. He was then in the hospital for 2 more weeks after that. We were constantly at this hospital, giving him fluids. He was losing weight. We also realized that he never had a follow-up appointment with surgical oncology. So we were trying to get that handled, but guess what? No one would call us back. No one would give us an actual answer. So when we had him home, my brother and I were his main caretakers while my mother worked, and our other sister is a nurse, so she was very busy doing her own schedule. We would literally pass each other with puke bags. I'm not kidding you. Our father was puking maybe 10 to 15 times a day at this point, and we would just pass each other. It was awful. We were trying to call the doctors. We were told it was normal. We had nothing to worry about. At this point, our father is literally losing weight so bad that, like, for us that see him every single day, if we're noticing there is something wrong here. So we're calling the doctor. We're trying to get follow-up appointment. They're telling us Miralax and Gatorade go a long way. He is fine. Make him drink fluids. We try everything we can. He will not eat. He is vomiting again. They're still telling us it's fine. Come to find out, closer to Christmas, my mother had expressed this to our primary care doctor. Our primary care doctor comes and does a house visit. He looks at my poor dad and he's like, oh God, he took his blood pressure. He's like, this is not good. This is really not good. I'm going to send a visiting nurse. We're going to keep an eye on this for a few days, and then he's probably going back to the hospital. So we can't go to a local hospital because they can't get his records. They also don't treat, they do treat pancreatic cancer, but this was a whole nother issue. So we would need him to go back to our state, like the state hospital we brought him to. At this point, we have been speaking with palliative care. They have been wonderful. Now we're like right at Christmas. My father is literally, like, the amount of puke and the amount of weight he has lost is ridiculous. He actually looks like a skeleton. So we said, that's it. We're going to have to figure out how to get him in the car, make a makeshift ambulance, and we're going to get him back to Boston. I'm just going to say it, Boston. We get him back. Palliative care actually has to walk to oncology so they can understand what's happening, because no one will answer our phone calls, or hers for that matter. We get him back to the hospital, and guess what, guys? Oh, it was so bad. I was there for this. He had a bowel obstruction that has caused him to lose between 30 and 35 pounds at this point, and no one could believe that no one would listen to us, because he was just a number, okay? He was just a number. They could not operate on him because he had lost too much weight and he was so fragile, okay? Do you understand how frustrating that is for a family? My mother in a Boston hospital had to watch literally like a team of 12 doctors, maybe even more than that, in the emergency room, stick an NG tube while my father was awake down his nose into his stomach. My mom almost passed out. They make me leave in the emergency room. This was a nightmare, a nightmare. We did have a follow-up with oncology afterwards, and I'm just going to be honest. I let him know this man is just a number, but to us, he was our world, our world. We had to watch him hallucinate. He was mentally not okay when we brought him home. He would have night terrors because no one believed him. He literally was in a living hell, okay? And so were we. So now at this point, he needs a feeding tube. We thought we were on the right path. What happens again? Don't you know? Just a few weeks later, we are back in the ER in Boston. My poor father, bowel obstruction number 2. At this point, all of his scans The cancer has never ever metastasized. It is strictly a bowel obstruction. The feeding tube is not in the right place. This was just a disaster. So what we were told was that this poor man, who at this point was probably 105 pounds, maybe 107 if I'm correct, was there weren't many options because they can't operate. We really didn't know what to do. So the surgical oncologist lets us know that, great news, it's not the cancer, it's just this bowel obstruction. We were under the impression that things were going to get better. I'm going to cut straight to the point. My brother went to visit my father. A doctor comes in, tells us, your dad is going to die. He's going to go home and starve to death because there is nothing we can do. So let me tell you something, people. Our healthcare system is fucked. We brought my dad home. He lasted 2.5 weeks. We watched him starve to death. We watched that man with a tube down his throat starve to death. And if you have never experienced hospice with a young patient, I have no words for you. No words. So I don't feel bad for this guy because people snap. And our healthcare system failed my dad. My mom still gets bills. It is disgusting. And we need to do better.
As someone, again, who worked at a cancer center, I can't tell you how many times people weren't allowed access to treatments, to clinical trials that were life-saving because of their insurance, because it was out of network. And, you know, when you're in cancer, it's not like you can just kind of delay it and be like, okay, well, I'll just live with it, because that literally means that you won't live. Sometimes some of the patients would spend months and months trying to get into a clinical trial. Months and months trying to get their insurance to override getting access at a different hospital because they had a specific treatment that would give them a few months, a few years of living. And, you know, you would see that often, and you would see a lot of frustrated family members, husbands, wives, kids. I mean, the kids were the most heartbreaking, right? Like, you have a 4 or 5-year-old who can't get access to treatment because of their parents' insurance. I mean, that to me was absolutely vile. It was just evil and dark. Meanwhile, there are executives right now who are being, you know, coined the most powerful insurance executives in America, making $15 million a year. And that's just their salary. And then there's people, everyday Americans, being denied life. It's genuinely disgusting, and not to justify someone's unaliving, but I just think the collective's getting so tired of being treated like a horde of rats, being given cheese crumbs every now and again, while the rich are getting richer from basic human necessities like healthcare that we should all just have, especially in America in 2024.
Quick update for our clients. We will no longer be covering anesthesia required for surgeries. After much deliberation.
So the CEO of UnitedHealthcare got today, and I think the most shocking thing, and alongside of the least shocking thing, they're the same, is that most of the comments are basically people being like, I don't care, sure. And my opinion is, sadly, my thoughts and prayers are out of network.
Listening to some of these stories has been heartbreaking. What do you think of the news coverage versus what people are saying online? Thanks for watching. Share your comments down below.